welcome back to the channel. It's Carmiel Marceline, and I'm so excited for you to be here today. If you're new to the channel, I post every Sunday. We talk about various things such as plants, and I got a couple more hobbies up my sleeve. If you're interested in seeing more of these videos, hit that subscribe button. I know you want to. And hit that bell notification so you know every single time I upload. And with that, we're gonna talk about all things plant propagation. What if I told you you could get plants for free? Let that sink in for a second. And what if I told you that you probably already have all of these supplies in your own home? Well, today we're talking all things propagation. I'm going to walk through how you propagate succulents versus vining plants like a pothos or philodendron. And then we're gonna get into 5 propagation methods, and I'm gonna show you how to do all of them. What exactly is propagation? Well, propagation is the process by which new plants grow from a variety of different sources. It can be through seeds, it can be through plant cuttings, which I'm going to show you how to do, and other plant parts such as leaves. Let's first talk about vining plants. These are your philodendrons, scindapsus, pothos, and syngoniums. You need to find the node, a connection point where new stems grow. This is often between 2 leaves. You want to cut 1 inch above and below it. For succulents, it's a little bit different. You take a part of the plant to propagate. In the case of a snake plant, you cut off a piece. For a ZZ plant, or string of hearts, you take off a leaf. Now that you have your plant cuttings, you're gonna do these 2 things. 1, you're going to dip where you made that cut on your plant into either cinnamon or activated charcoal. This will help mitigate potential rot when you are propagating. 2, let them air dry. The thickness of your cutting will determine how long you should let them dry for. Vining plants, for instance, I wait about 2 to 3 hours. And for thick succulents, like a snake plant, I wait several days. As long as the ends where you cut aren't moist, you're good. Now, there are so many different propagation methods out there, and today I'm going to walk you through 5 different ones that I've used time and time again. What we're going to do is I'm going to show you via a chart which methods are the most simple based on cost, based on what you already have in your home, to methods that are a little bit more complex and potentially a little bit more expensive, as you're going to have to buy more supplies. If we have this horizontal spectrum, on the very left, you'll see the more simple methods. And on the right, you'll see the more complex methods. First, we're going to start with soil on the very left. Then we have water. In the middle is sphagnum moss, followed by perlite, and then lastly, Leica. Now, all 5 of these different propagation methods require different substrate, like soil or sphagnum moss, but the basic supplies that you'll need are access to sunlight, because all plants need sunlight to survive, a bit of water, and a container to put whatever substrate you want to use in. First up, we've got soil propagation, and you guessed it, You just need soil. And if you have plants, that means you probably already got it in your home. I will say, while soil is the most simple, it's something that isn't necessarily my go-to method, just because it's a little bit more difficult to maintain humidity. Here are 2 ways you can soil propagate. 1, you can just use a plant cutting and stick it into the soil directly and water it whenever the soil is dry and place it right in front of your window. 2, you don't even need to cut the plant. You just wrap the node on top of the soil and use bobby pins to keep it in place. Then, water it whenever it needs it. Next up, we've got water propagation. And similar to soil, I'm sure you've got water at home. You can use any clear containers as long as it's deep enough to submerge the node. Fill it with water and place your plant inside. Leave it in front of your window, and in several weeks, you should see some roots forming. Make sure you top off the water whenever you notice it getting low. I personally don't replace the water every several days because then you're getting rid of the rooting hormone. As long as there isn't any fungus growing in that water that you're using to propagate your plant, you're pretty much good. The only thing I will say is that with water propagation, it's a little bit more difficult to transplant that cutting into soil. So oftentimes you're going to need to slowly over time decrease the amount of water and add soil in order for those plant cuttings and those new roots to do well. Now, in the middle of all these different propagation methods, you've got sphagnum moss. Woo! This one is one of my tried and true methods. You can get sphagnum moss online. I usually get mine off Amazon. You can get it at your local hardware store sometimes, and even your local nursery. First, submerge the moss in water. Wring out that water so the sphagnum moss is moist but not wet. Then fluff out the sphagnum moss so it's not compact. You want it to be light and airy because it'll give some amazing airflow. Then lightly place the moss at the bottom of the container, around 1/3 full. Take more sphagnum moss and lightly wrap it around the node of the plant cutting. Place that plant cutting in the sphagnum moss and lightly cover it with more. Make sure that you're keeping it very light and airy. The moist moss will maintain humidity as the water evaporates. We're almost done. The second to last propagation method is perlite. So if you're not familiar with what perlite is, it's actually a volcanic glass that's processed. And it looks a little bit like styrofoam pellets. So imagine buying soil from your plant store or wherever you get it, and you see these like white little beads. That's perlite. And perlite's awesome because it contains small air pockets that are super important when it comes to aerating your soil. So there's a lot more oxygen that can get into the roots. First, fill your container 1/3 full with perlite. This will help prevent your cutting from rotting. Plop your plant in the center and cover it almost completely full with perlite. Place your container on top of a saucer of water and place this in a humid environment with light such as a cloche, a humidity cabinet, a propagation box, or even a Ziploc bag. Lastly, we've got Leica. So Leica is actually an acronym. I just learned this. It means lightweight expanded clay aggregate. Had no idea, I just thought it was called Leica. But essentially they're clay pebbles. These are a little bit more expensive than any of the other substrates that I've mentioned, but they work because they actually will absorb water and expand. And as it's expanding, it's evaporating water, so that moisture is evenly getting dispersed to your plant cutting, to those roots. Leica is also primarily used for hydroponic setups. I use it a lot for plant propagating. I bought a whole pack one day, and it's perfect if you want a foolproof method. You can also reuse it, which is awesome. You just have to disinfect it. Next, you want to make sure you remove any debris, especially if you just purchased your Leica online. This means that you want to rinse it under cold water until the water isn't cloudy. After that, you'll want to soak the clean Leica in water for about 1 to 2 hours. Fill a clear container, such as a mason jar or a plastic cup, 1/3 full with that Leica that you soaked in water. Then place your plant in the center and top it off with even more of that Leica. You'll then want to fill that specific container with water, about 1/3 full, so that the water isn't touching the plant cutting, or else it'll get some rot. Similar to perlite and sphagnum moss, you want to make sure that you're putting your Leica container and cutting in a humid environment. So that means putting it in a Ziploc bag, putting it in your plant humidity cabinet, or a cloche. There you have it. Those are my 5 propagation methods and a step-by-step tutorial on how to do all of them. If you liked today's video, hit that like button, give me that thumbs up. I know you want to. If you want to see more of these videos, like I said in the beginning, hit that subscribe button. And if you have ideas on videos that you want, certain topics you want me to touch on, comment down below. And with that, I hope you have an amazing, amazing rest of your day, and I can't wait to see you in the next one. Bye! Where's Otis? I wonder.